How many of you folks know who James Cromwell is? Okay, James Cromwell. Now, I didn't really know when I heard the name initially who it was, but seeing the face, I kind of recognize it now. And this is a list of movies. You know, you can go Google him and see what he's been in. It seems like he's been in a lot of movies, just not as like the main character in any of them. I think he's got an Oscar, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so he's been around the block. I think, what is he? He's 82 years old. 82. This guy has been around the block, all right? And he's been in Hollywood for a long time. I didn't know about this, but I saw this article and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. James Cromwell here. He's a vegan, all right? And I have a hilarious video to show you. James Cromwell, the vegan, glued his hand to a Starbucks countertop. Why? Why would you do so, you may ask? You might say, oh, because they use milk, they use animal products in their business, and he's protesting, you know, like all the other crazy PETA vegans that do that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying if you want to be vegan, go ahead, be vegan. Just don't come protest to me or tell me why I'm a bad person for not being vegan, okay? I just don't want to hear about it. I don't care what you do in your life. Just leave it on you, all right? Don't be going to super gluing yourself to anything while I'm trying to get my, you know, my coffee. I don't want to deal with you in the way. That's kind of my point, my view on it, at least. But James Cromwell had a different opinion, different idea. So he thought he'd super glue his hand to the counter of a Starbucks, but not because they have the animal products. Because again, he's James Cromwell. He still wants his Starbucks. I mean, he's still one of these Hollywood elite folks. He still has to have his Starbucks. I mean, come on. He's mad that they charge more for almond milk than they do regular milk. Let's take a look at this video here, guys.
Save the planet, save the cows!
And the vegan upcharge now!
Save the planet, save the cows!
And the vegan upcharge now!
Save the planet, save the cows!
And the vegan upcharge now!
Okay, can we just laugh at his shirt? It's kind of funny. Like the paw is kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. We'll talk about it after.
Save the planet, save the cows!
And the vegan upcharge now!
When will you stop charging us more for vegan milk? When will you stop raking in huge profits?
All right, the minute that I can go buy almond milk from the grocery store for the same price I can buy regular milk, you know what? Maybe I'll stand with you, Mr. Cromwell, but it's more expensive to make almond milk or oat milk or any other. Have you ever tried to milk an almond? Okay, I'm pretty sure, you know, I'm not going to be the greatest at milking a cow, but I'm pretty sure I could figure out how to milk a cow before I can milk an almond. I don't know how to milk an almond or an oat or anything like that. I'm sure it takes a lot more work and there's a lot more waste involved when it comes to doing that, and that's why it costs more, okay, than it does regular cow's milk when those things are producing milk all day long, baby. Okay, naturally. Okay, I don't know, it just doesn't, like, the logic behind it. You think at 82 you'd have some wisdom enough to know that that's a little ridiculous. And the fact that he's not protesting Starbucks, he still wants to use the product, he just doesn't want to pay. He's rich and he doesn't want to pay the upcharge for the almond milk or whatever.
While customers, animals, and the environment suffer, the senseless upcharge hurts animals.
The senseless upcharge hurts animals. The fact that he has to pay extra for his almond milk is hurting the birds or the cows or whoever. And I always enjoy watching these videos because I think these guys, these vegan people who shout like this, are very I guess ignorant to some very like key things that happen during agriculture and farming. We'll talk about that here in a second.
No. Save the planet, save the cows!
Man,
And the vegan upcharge now! Save the planet!
You guys gotta go outside.
All right, so now this is honestly, this is one of the best parts about the whole video. I know the big, this, you know, it's a short but sweet one, and there's been a lot of good moments already. But he's sitting here, he's scraping off his hand from the table, okay? Now, I'm gonna slow it down just so I can pause it and catch it in time. I'm gonna show you something. All right. So, dude is he's scraping it off. All right. Now, almost. All right, he gets it off. All right, here. I'll pay attention. You see that thing that he's grabbing right there? That old dog still got his Starbucks drink. He still paid them. They still served him, which is blowing my mind because that's a little Starbucks cup. He still got his whatever, and it looks like some fruity madness, but he scrapes his hand up and picks up the Starbucks drink after sitting there on the counter screaming about having to pay more for vegan milk and how it's hurting the animals. An absolute clown show, if you ask me. Like, again, if you want to be vegan, fine, go be vegan. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't play this moral high ground game because it's ridiculous. I wanted to talk about this just a little bit because a lot of vegans don't really understand this. And maybe some do, and maybe they'll have some argument. I've really never talked to a vegan too in-depth about it because they kind of always just get upset and don't want to talk anymore when you bring this up. Vegans eat what, right? They eat vegetables, they eat oats, they eat almonds, like almond milk. They get a lot of their stuff from things that are farmed in fields that are plowed with tractors, big tractors. And unless you're growing all your own food, which again, here's the thing, if you're a vegan and you grow all of your own food and you're fully sustainable with all your veggies in your garden, hey, good on you. Like, I have nothing to say to you. You know what? If you want to preach to me how everybody should do that, you have a lot more of a claim to say those things than a lot of the other vegans. However, I'd still argue that it's not really possible for every person to do that. It's not sustainable. Most vegans are buying vegetables at the store, right? They're buying all, whatever. Animals die every time you plow a field. And if you're a vegan, I want to know where the line is because there has to be a line drawn somewhere on what is okay to kill and what's not, right? Because are mice okay? If you're a vegan, is it okay to kill a mouse? Because every time you plow a field, you kill mice, right? There's mice in fields. So you're killing animals when you plow that cornfield or when you plow that soybean field or any type of agriculture that's done to get your vegan food, all right? Unless it's completely synthetically processed or processed in a plant somewhere where none of the ingredients are harvested in some sort of way with a tractor, right? Because we're using tractors nowadays. These things don't, they're indiscriminate to whatever's in their way, right? Deer can die, rabbits can die, snakes can die. Are worms, are those okay? Do we care about killing worms? I want to know that from vegans, and I'm not trying to be facetious here. I'm being serious, because there has to be a line somewhere, right? And if there's not a line, if you say, well, no, even the crickets and the grasshoppers, no, we shouldn't even eat those. Well, then you're still killing things on your diet, right? And then I've even heard then vegans be like, well, we never, we try to minimize it. That's the whole goal, is minimizing it, doing the least of the part. Well, then what's the whole point of minimizing it if you can never get it to a zero? Shouldn't that be the goal, right? If you're a vegan, I feel like the ultimate goal would be to have zero animal deaths. When you put that fork or that spoon in your mouth, whatever you eat had zero animal deaths involved. And if that's the goal and that's the case, I just don't see how that's possible. And again, I don't care if people are vegan, but what bothers me is when you have people like this trying to take the moral high ground and say everybody else is doing something wrong, when in reality they just don't want to pay as much for almond milk when it's more expensive to make. I used to drink almond milk because regular milk upsets my stomach. I get really gassy. I don't like regular milk as much. I never really cared for milk. So I would drink almond milk as a substitute. It's expensive. I stopped drinking almond milk just because it's expensive. I get it, dude. I get what you're saying, but it's more expensive to make, and that's part of the thing. You don't just get stuff for the same price because you're vegan, all right? Sorry. Go grow some almonds, milk them yourself if you're that concerned about it. And so I ended up looking into it just out of curiosity, and I'm gonna take this with a really, with a grain of salt. I don't really trust this, but they say about 7.3 billion animals die every year from crop monocultures. So, harvesting crops and stuff. They say 70 to 150 billion animals die each year from the meat industry. Which you'd say, yeah, it's going to be a lot more because you're trying to kill those animals because you're eating those animals. The 7.3 billion are just deaths from you're trying to get your food. You're not even eating those animals. You're just trying to get your food, and those animals die as a result. Again, I don't really know if I trust the 7.3 billion because there's really no way to say all All right, where's the line? What's considered a death? How do you measure how many mice are in a field? How many rabbits? Where's the line? What do you consider in that number? So I think it's kind of tough. But for vegans to take this moral high ground with vegetables is kind of laughable when you know how farming kind of works a little bit. I mean, even like on a base level.